Testing. Testing.
It's not letting me mute it. It's fine. It's just this, like, the mute. I have one. Let me get one out of Donna's.
Thank you.
You want purple or blue?
Green. Always green.
Always green. I know. All right, so we have 4 things.
We good?
This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. This meeting on October 3rd, 2023, with instructions for the internet access, was included in a meeting notice sent to the Burlington County Times and the Courier Post on August 11th, respectively, posted on the website and the bulletin board in the municipal building on August 10th, 2023, and has remained continuously posted as required under the statute. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. Can we all stand for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, can we get a roll call?
Mayor Plow?
Yes, here.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Here.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Here.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Okay, we'll talk about the minutes. We're looking to approve the minutes for September 5th, 2023. Does anybody have any concerns?
I have a few very small changes for clarity. Please insert the phrase "in the previous minutes" into the public comment made by Sue McMullen. And please modify my own comments to read, apologize to the District 2 residents for any offense taken over her comments concerning the 100th anniversary fundraiser. None was intended. I think you have those anyway, Tara, so it shouldn't be hard to do that. And I will approve them with those changes.
Okay, can we have a motion to approve the minutes with those changes?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mayor Cloud?
Yes. Okay, we got some reports. First of all, we have the New Jersey State Police here. Do you have anything to report to us? Okay, then we're going to take the other reports, going to take the tax collector report, fire official, code enforcement, construction, and emergency services. And does anybody want to give me a motion?
Make a motion? Second?
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mayor Cloud?
Yes. Okay, now we're going to move on to discussion presentation. And we're going to have a proclamation for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Is there any discussion on that?
I just want to say a very close friend of mine died of breast cancer a couple of years ago, and so this is a very important thing to do, I think, and a disease to recognize.
Okay.
I am wearing a pink breast cancer awareness tie and a little ribbon on my suit, so I wholeheartedly agree with this. I think we all have had people that we know, unfortunately, that has suffered from this. Some, unfortunately, haven't made it through. Others have fought gallantly and it came back, et cetera. So awareness is good, and please get your tests. Men and women.
Indeed.
Okay, do we take a vote on this?
Yeah, you should move to
Okay.
adopt the proclamation.
All right, can we get a,
Mayor's proclamation? What is it? Is it committee or mayor?
Looks like it's committee.
Yeah.
okay, can we get a motion?
I'd like to make a motion.
Second.
All right,
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mayor Cloud?
yes. Okay, the resolution 2023-121-11, amended an area in need of rehabilitation for certain property along 38, specifically Block 72.01, Lot 1, an existing mobile home park to include Greenwood Avenue Row. Does anybody have any discussion on this?
So this would just be a referral to the Joint Land Use Board, if you're okay with this. The idea, of course, is that Greenwood Avenue has been used by the property owners out there for parking, for whatever associated with their own activities, both Allen's Oil and the mobile home park. The redevelopment that's proposed would frankly allow that to continue, but be on private property, and the township no longer has any obligation whatsoever to that strip. And there was a piece that was vacated some time ago, right, on this side. So you would be amending the area in need of rehab just to cover that area of Greenwood Avenue that is clearly not needed for public use, right? Has been used privately anyway, and would now allow it to continue to be used privately, and you're off the hook.
Yeah, you could never use that whole road all the way through anyway.
It'll now be private,
Right.
and it doesn't connect anywhere anyway.
Okay, does this need a vote?
No, it just needs, it does need a motion to refer it to the Joint Land Use Board for its comments under the redevelopment law.
Okay, can I get a motion to
Can I
refer
just
this?
clarify? This is the same mobile home park
Yes.
that we were talking about a
Yes.
couple of meetings ago, but it's a different slice of.
Just an additional
Transport.
piece of property that's on the front of the mobile home park and
Yeah.
backs up to Allen's Oil.
Yeah, I had a look at it, yeah.
So move.
Second.
Okay.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mayor Cloud?
Yes. Okay, we got comments from the public. Agenda items only. Please come up and state your name and address. Anybody coming up?
Do we have any online?
No.
Okay, with that, we're going to close public comment. Okay, consent agendas. We can take these all together?
You can, one motion for all of the consent agenda items,
Okay.
A through G.
We have, let's see, all the consent agendas, authorizing the mayor execute statement of consent for the New Jersey DEP, authorizing lien on property for expenses at 6 Applewood Court, authorizing request for qualifications for professional services, authorizing cancellation of taxes for 100% disabled veteran, block 100.5, lot 17. There's a similar one for block 11.03 Lot 9, and another one for Block 101.06 Lot 40. And there's a resolution request by the Township of Hainesport to the DEP for a 4-month extension of time for a construction contract awarded to Hainesport Township, Pulaski Avenue. This is a road repair in Fenimore Road, correct?
And Laurel Ridge Road, yes.
Okay. Okay, does anybody have any concerns about doing these all together?
Nope.
Okay, can we get a motion?
Also moved.
Second.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mayor Cloud?
Yes. Okay, we're going to take resolutions one at a time. Resolution 2023-112-10, appointing a full-time public works laborer driver. Can I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mayor Cloud?
Yes. Resolution 2023-113-10, establishing compensation for visual lead-based paint inspections in rental dwelling units.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mayor Cloud?
Yes. Okay, Resolution 2023-114-10, confirming the need for the construction of 72-unit residential multi-housing development and approving a financial agreement.
I'd like to speak a little bit about this one, if we can.
Well, yeah, okay.
Okay. So I'm very for affordable housing, but I've always said, I think both when I was on that side of the dais and also now on this side of the dais, that I don't think this is the right way to go about it. The original idea of the Mount Laurel Doctrine was to put affordable housing in regular housing developments, and the way that we interpret it now is that builders pay us and put money into a fund not to do that, and then we take that money and we build a chunk of affordable housing off in a corner of Hainesport where nobody really wants it to be. And I think we need to consider, now that we've got our agreement with the courts and we're not going to be pursued for builder's remedy, I think we need to slow this process down and rethink it a little bit. I know that we did have affordable housing in Eric Ravicchio's development, for example. I think we had 7 units over there, and they were pulled from it. I don't know why, I wasn't on the committee then, but it seems to me that that's exactly where the affordable housing should be. And also, there should be some in the senior development that's being planned behind the diner. And if we did those 2 things, maybe we could reduce the height of the 3-story apartment block down to 2 stories, which I know is one of the things that the residents in the area have complained about, that it's going to be a 3-story block in a 2-story area. So I think all these things being taken into consideration, I will be voting against this resolution.
Okay, do we have a representative from the Walters Group here?
We do, and I think that's for the next resolution, because
Okay.
that's the
Okay,
question
very
that
good.
was
All
raised
right.
in advance.
Okay, sounds good. All right,
This is just for the pilot, which is a standard 6.28% for an affordable housing
all right,
project.
any other comments?
Which we have with Davenport already.
Okay, with that, can I get a motion?
Well, I do have a question. Confirming the need, so all we're doing at this point in time is confirming the need. We're not confirming the place. Is that correct?
We're confirming the need, and we're also approving the agreement which is attached to it for a payment in lieu of taxes, which is, as just indicated, under the HMFA rules, 6.28% is normal. It's what Davenport pays for that affordable housing development. And so because it is exempt from taxes, there is a payment in lieu of the taxes.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the need for those things.
can we get a second?
I'll second the motion, the need for those things.
Okay.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mrs. Evans?
No.
Mayor Cloud?
Yes. Okay, a resolution 2023-115-10, authorizing First Amendment to Affordable Housing Agreement. Can we, is there a Kevin O'Dowd in the audience? Yeah, could you come up and speak to us and kind of give the committee a understanding of what this is for
Absolutely.
and why it's there?
Well, good evening. My name is Kevin Dowd. I'm with the Walters Group. I'm the Director of Development Finance. And just a little bit of background, on our company in Hainesport, we've been working with you folks since 2017. I believe we've had the Creek Road site under contract in our possession since about 2020, with the township's support. I'm here today because one of the items before you speaks to an amendment to the Affordable Housing Agreement. And since Hainesport has signed their fair share settlement agreement, I think we have an opportunity to move this forward, the best opportunity that we have right now. And I think since the beginning, we've always said to the township officials and to staff that our job is to be partners, right? We give information. This is the sea in which in which we swim, and you folks make decisions. The program in particular, and I can answer any questions that you have about it, is a state program that it's a one-off program. It's been funded by Governor Murphy. It's $305 million to pair state capital subsidy, tax-exempt bonds, and 4% tax credits for communities that agreed to deed restrict to be 100% affordable. Essentially, what this does is it's a $10 million capital subsidy given to a project, maxing out at $10 million or $150,000 a unit. So if you do the math really quickly, you can see that at 66 units, the subsidy essentially disappears. This site is for 72 units, and so the amendment, I think, to the Affordable Housing Agreement laid out before you essentially indicates that this helps to make up that gap. Coupled with this, the rents in southern New Jersey that we are allowed to charge are simply just below that of our northern Jersey compatriots. So it's just like when you go out and buy a house, the more income you have, the bigger mortgage you can get, you can buy the house. So essentially, coupled with those two items, that's why we are essentially putting that agreement before you today. Again, it's important to note that we don't, as a company, make any more or less. This is legitimately a feasibility issue for the project. It's gap funding, and it would allow the project to move forward as laid out in the Fair Share Settlement Agreement. So again, our intent here is to be partners, to share the information so that you folks may make the best decision possible. But I'm happy to take any questions, and I think there are a few.
So I guess the one concern that Anna was having is that that it was a three-story project, and her hope that it could potentially be a two-story project. Does that take the profit out of it and basically ruin the project for Hainesport and for yourselves if it's reduced to the two levels?
It does not. I think there is a design in process right now which would de-densify the project along Creek Road. I think our design professionals are still working into that, but our goal, and I think the township's goal, is for the 72 units per the settlement agreement. So we hear those concerns, absolutely, and we're trying to work through those to make sure it doesn't appear to be 3 stories.
Could you define
De-densify?
de-densify?
De-densify.
Yeah, as you're used to that.
Sure,
explanation,
I think-
please. De-densify.
I think to Mr. Levinson's comment, one of the concerns that was brought up was an imposing building along Creek Road, right, because of the general residential scale of that.
Kind of buffer, yeah.
Right. And I believe what we're trying to do is to make it more of a 2-story visual impact there. Again, it's tricky because the site is impacted, and I think we have a pretty good solution that we're working through, but we understand that concern. And again, the goal is 72 units.
Wouldn't another solution, though, be to reduce it to 66 units, put the 7 units back into the Rivicchio project, and then we wouldn't have to provide this extra money?
I can't speak to the inclusionary aspects of that project in particular.
No, I'm just thinking about the numbers that we have to reach for
Right.
affordable housing. But why does it have to be a 72-unit project?
Because that is what's established by your settlement agreement, and I think that was not necessarily a decision that we made.
Right.
That's what this site has always envisioned when we purchased it in 2020.
we get more than a one-for-one, right? We get a,
That is correct.
so
You get bonus
to our
points.
benefit to go, is it a two-for-one, or what, how close?
It is effectively a 2-for-1.
So
because
by
it's
building
expanded.
72 units, we don't have to build 140 units.
Right, and
basically, right?
that's typically what comes up in discussions with fair share. They're still going to want their 144 units, and if you only do it by creating inclusionary housing with a 20% affordable set-aside, that's a heck of a lot more impactful in terms of adding units to your town and to your school district. So that's typically why folks pursue the 100%.
So not only do we add units, but we'll also be increasing the need for services, trash removal, leaf removal, snow removal, road maintenance, and potentially putting more students into our school system, so potentially also enlarging the size of our school. But I do have a question for Mr. Gillespie over there. What is that agreement that was made with Fair Share? What is the agenda that we have to abide by, and what are the rules that we seem to have agreed to?
Do you want to hold that until Mr. O'Dowd's finished, or want me to go ahead and answer them as they?
It's up to you, whatever you think is best.
Are there any other questions from Mr. Dowd?
We may have more after Johnson.
Yeah, I may have more after, yeah. I was just going to say, thank
I
you,
won't go
Bruce.
too far, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So the question about the settlement agreement, which was, by the way, approved by this committee unanimously,
Interesting.
and included these 72 units, and did not include anything at Revicchio. So if the issue was, should we have taken units out of this project and put them in Revicchio, the time for that would have been before that was voted upon and approved as an agreement, and that plan was approved by the committee. The 72 units is not just 72 units, but our number, which was lower than what Fair Share wanted from us, lower than e-consults, and frankly, even lower than e-consults number, which was the group that was hired by all the municipalities after Judge Jacobson's decision. It's 72 units, but it's giving us 122 credits, right? So we're getting 50 credits towards our number that will never be built because of bonus. And the other thing about the plan, and it'll go to the planning board for part of the housing element fair share plan. A number of the credits that we're getting are not going to be new affordable housing units. They're going to be extensions on existing controls. Right? There's going to be all kinds of mechanisms in there. Some are already included. Davenport Village's expansion is included in there. The senior project down the street at the church is included in there. If you take the 122 credits, not the 72 units, but the 122 credits we get from that 72 units, and you take the $900,000 that was previously agreed to by this committee, this memorializes this committee's authority for that, and was placed on the record in front of Judge Covert when the settlement agreement was approved by her. And you add to that the 625 that's being requested tonight, in addition to that. That $1,525,000, when you divide that by the 122 credits we get, it's $12,500 a credit. And it comes out of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. This is not taxpayer money. This is money that has been contributed by developers, by projects as they're being developed, both residential and, of course, commercial and industrial. And there is sufficient money in the account to pay for this. So it's not taxpayer money. No taxpayers are being asked to subsidize or fund this. The townships that have Affordable Housing Trust Fund subsidizes this.
So
Can I clarify something? Sorry. My understanding and you're correct, I did vote to approve the plan, was that this was something that we needed to do to protect ourselves against builder's remedy.
That is correct.
But it wasn't my understanding that that plan was then the set-in-stone plan that we had to accomplish within a set period of time, right? So.
You can say right, but that was made very clear to the Township Committee during all of our discussions.
But I guess my question is there a time frame
Yes.
in which we have to accomplish this, and what is it?
It is in the order that was distributed to all of you after the hearing, and we have a fairness hearing, I believe it's early February, so we have a compliance period of 150 days, and we had a meeting among staff last week, so we're putting together a schedule for committee's consideration and consideration by the Joint Land Use Board. But that was in there, 150 days for compliance.
But compliance, what does compliance mean? Because it's not like we're
We have-
going to
we
have
have-
anything built, and
we have a
like the
couple of
senior
ordinance-
development is not really gotten anywhere.
What the compliance.
We have a couple of ordinances that we have to adopt. We have a couple of management plans the committee has to adopt. The housing element and fair share plan will now become part of the master plan documents, and the joint land use board will review that. The ordinance for this project was adopted 3 or 4 years ago. The zoning was changed 3 or 4 years ago. This has been on the books for a number of years.
Yeah, but I've only been on the committee for 9 months,
But you've been coming to township committee meetings during that entire time.
and I've been
So
protesting this,
profess-
I've been protesting this
profess-
development for the entire time.
Yeah, fine, but I'm not arguing about your votes. Your votes are your votes, right? Your positions on the record before you became an elected official are your positions on the record. We were given unanimous authority to present this plan to the court. That plan was presented to the court and approved by the court, and it included this 72-unit project with its 50 additional bonus credits. There was no opposition to it during those discussions, either in closed session or by the Township Committee. The sole issue this evening is the additional $625,000 in gap funding, right? Which is available in the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And I believe Mr. O'Dowd's kind of made it clear that, it's very competitive in this state, and the southern towns are not viewed the same as the northern towns. We're not urban. I don't know that, I don't agree that that's fair. I don't think it is fair. We all have obligations, right? But that's the way the state looks at it. I think that's the way Governor Murphy's $305 million fund was created, and we're stuck with it. But in terms of facilitating an outcome that protects the township, that gets you 50 more credits than are being proposed to be built, which is probably 60-some% of the total number. If you criticize the outcome, but I don't know where else you're going to find it.
I think it's 69%.
So, John, tell me, what are the ramifications for reneging on a unanimous decision? Are we looking at a builder's remedy in the scope of what we see at Haddon Point and Mount Laurel?
If committee, I missed the first part of your question. If
Sure.
committee rescinds this approval?
What ramifications are there to Hainesport Township of reneging on a unanimous decision to fulfill the promises that we've made to fair share?
You lose your protections. You
Which means
start-
what?
That right now, you're immune from a builder's remedy lawsuit. You're immune from the lawsuit that resulted in all of those units going up on 38 in a neighboring municipality
At Haddon Point?
and Marne Highway. You,
Which is over 1,000 units if you combine everything, is it not?
I don't have those notes because I didn't know this was going to.
So it's out of control. We lose control of the development.
Oh, yeah.
And what does that mean? We lose control of the
It
development?
means that a builder's remedy lawsuit is a lawsuit pursuant to which a builder, usually of mass-produced housing, goes into court and says, this town does not have an affordable housing plan that's been approved by the court. We are offering the following solution to their affordable housing obligation. And also, our number could change. The number we negotiated of 197, which, as I say, is lower than what Fair Share Housing had established years ago, lower than what Econsult put together, which was the group hired by all the municipalities. They come up with a bigger number.
So they could put the maximum amount of density that the law allows in a particular...
I don't know that it would be the maximum amount of density. Remember, you have utility issues, right? You have water and sewer issues. That was the other thing about this solution, was it does not require additional water and sewer areas. You don't have to amend your 208 plan, right? So that was an affirmative aspect to this.
But a builder's remedy would allow them to basically take control away from our township professionals to control the density in our town. I mean,
Not just the professionals, it takes away from the Township Committee and the Planning Board, Joint Land Use Board.
so we lose total control.
I mean, you could, that's what a builder's remedy seeks to do. Builder's remedy seeks to take the control away from the municipality and place it in the hands of the court with the developer driving the bus.
And
John, so basically, this is what happened in Mount Laurel, Route 38.
I don't know that that would happen. in
It
Mount
may
Laurel.
not have happened, but the threat of it could have caused.
I don't know how those housing products came about. I'm just saying that those housing products.
But they all seem to have 20%.
But that could happen.
They all
But
perceive.
that would be, that very well could be.
Right.
and what about
As to the volume, I don't know, but the number we were able to negotiate with Fair Share Housing was 197. It was lower than what they wanted. It was lower than what eConsult wanted,
At one point, they
right?
wanted 4,000.
At one point, yeah. In May of 2016, their proposal was 437 units.
What about future developments that come our way that are of this nature? Do we also lose control of them because we're having better obligations?
No, as you go forward, remember, the third round's going to end in a couple of years, right? So the idea is that in 2024 and in 2025, you really need to be thinking about what will the fourth round bring? You don't know. I mean, nobody has a crystal ball. But if the methodology remains the same, there may be a way to start thinking about, okay, where do we want to put it? Where do we want to, and how do we want to do it, right? Do we want to intersperse it, right? Do we want to create enclaves? Do we want to have more housing with a 15 or 20% set aside, right? So if you end up with a 200-unit obligation, and you want to do that as a set aside, you got 1,000 new units coming in.
Yeah. But we're almost up against the wall this time with regard to the agenda and the schedule and the time constraints.
Well, I wouldn't say we're up against a wall. Hainesport has worked on this for the last 5 years, 4 or 5 years. There have been different iterations. There was a property on, what road was it, up past Dunleavy's?
Paul's Tank Farm.
Paul's Tank Farm.
Yeah.
And it proved too environmentally contaminated to remediate at a figure that would be capable of supporting an affordable housing development.
So we've looked at other sites.
Right. So, although this number is 197, it's not 197 units of new construction. It's when you take into consideration the extension of affordability controls, it's probably less than half of the 197. I don't have the chart in front of me, but it is not anywhere near 197. It's not anywhere near 140. It's not anywhere near 120. So in terms of new construction, the 197 is really misleading. And again, 50 of those 197 are in this, and they're not going to be built. They're credits.
Yeah, they're fictitious.
John, I have a question. Just, can you clarify the trust fund this money's coming from? What can that be spent on?
The Affordable Housing Trust Fund can only be spent on affordable housing-related activities.
Okay. Okay.
And where does that money come from?
Comes from developers who are required to contribute a certain percentage of their construction, right? I think that with regard to the development behind Cherry Hill Nissan on 38, it was a brownfields site. So that developer is putting 2 facilities there, and in the course of doing that, cleaning up the contamination.
Who would be responsible to clean up that
The
contamination?
developer is.
No, otherwise, if they weren't there, who would be responsible to handle the contamination?
The existing owner, and my understanding is that nothing was ever done to start that cleanup, so I'm not really sure how that would end up, so it's sort of, yeah, go ahead.
Or they could be left to the township, like Paul's Tank Farm and Hitco, and it becomes the
Our
taxpayer's
responsibility as a township to clean up, and
Correct.
it would take years and years.
I don't want to get off track, so I'd like to stick with this.
Can I just clarify one further thing? Doesn't some of the money in this fund come from the developers who are building housing developments that don't have affordable housing in?
Yeah, they have to make a contribution in
Right, so
lieu
what,
of.
what I said earlier is true, is that they are escaping their actual obligation to include affordable housing by giving money into a fund, which then enables us to build the affordable housing somewhere else.
I don't want to parse words, but I wouldn't call it escaping their obligation. Their obligations are available in different forms, and the municipality has a lot to say about whether it wants affordable housing in a certain development or whether it would prefer to take a contribution in lieu of that. So I wouldn't say that they're escaping their obligation. And in many of those situations, it simply isn't financially viable if a project is a small development to set aside X number of units may not be financially feasible, not just in terms of their return, but in terms of financing that they need to build the project.
I think that's why you see a lot of the inclusionary. You see such an enormous amount of houses and then just 20% because it meets the economy of scales. But on smaller developments, it doesn't. Developers are not building.
But what about the, sorry, Eric, I keep invoking your name here, I apologize. What about the 7 units that were in the Riverview development originally? Was that a percentage that was required of affordable housing?
I honestly don't recall that. It was so long ago, and we got past that a long time ago, and getting past that was ratified by this very committee.
Not by me.
This year, yes, this year, when you approved this settlement. Yes, it was absolutely, I believe you voted yes.
It was unanimous, wasn't it? Didn't
Yeah,
we
I believe
vote?
it was.
Yeah.
Right, I think I've explained why I voted for that.
Okay, I just want to move forward. Does anybody have any more questions of John?
No,
I just want to make a clarifying statement. So basically, this money is set aside to help our town with affordable housing. There is money that is in the fund. Joe Citizen can't put a grant in, hey, can I borrow some of that money? I want to use that. That can't happen. It can only go for affordable housing. It can only go for that. This is something that has been ongoing since 2017, before I was on this committee as well. We have the money that's there. It has to be used for affordable housing. We have an opportunity here to put up 72 units, not 120 some odd units, but 72 units and get credit for more at a lower cost, yet the money that's being used is not being taken out of any one of our pockets who live here in town. It is something that's put in for specifically this. And we voted unanimously to do this, and the court approved it. We had the court approve this so we don't have to be at risk to go, what's happening right now on 38? We all drive by it. 4 stories, multiple buildings, 4 stories. It's across from Wegmans. It's here. It's Marne Highway. It's unbelievable. We have the ability to control this and make the decision ourselves on where it is. And unfortunately, it is what it is, and that's the state. The state forced this on us. So right now, we approved it, that we would do it. We got the court to say, yes, go with it. If we go against it right now, Lord knows what will happen with this next. Lord knows what property will be bought up and what will happen from there. So I think I've consolidated all this right here. It's not taxpayer dollars. It's a smaller lot that has been owned by a group that manages this, not only builds it, but manages it, correct? Mr. Dodd, you manage this. It is not low-income housing, it is affordable housing. This could be from some of our young adults who graduate from college who are not making $100,000 a year. They may apply for this. There's applications. It's not indigent people or employed people. You go through applications and go through this process. Is that correct?
That's 100% correct.
Okay.
We've also never sold one of our communities, so.
You've never sold any of your communities.
Call me today, you can call me, and if you have a problem in 10 years.
You build it, you do the research for it, and you manage it, and you continue to maintain it. So it's not just something that's, you talk about slumlords or those types of things that go on, and excuse the slang. So it seems to me that this is something that's been, I can't imagine a situation that can put us in a better situation, so.
And if I may just add, I'm sorry, this would be structured as a loan. It's not.
Okay, but this resolution is about amending the agreement. That's basically it.
The gap funding,
Right.
really, that's
So
what it is.
let's,
Yeah, we got to get back on
Are there
track.
any more, we don't have to sell it, it is what it is. Let's just work on, amending this, this resolution. Anybody have any questions pertaining to that?
No.
No? No more questions? Okay, then can I get a motion?
I move to amend this for the gap funding,
The motion is to adopt the resolution.
to adopt the resolution.
I'll second the motion to adopt the resolution.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mrs. Evans?
No.
Mayor Klaus.
Yes. Okay, resolution 2023-116-10, recognizing Knockout Opioid Abuse Day on October 6, 2023. Can I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mayor Klaus.
Yes. Okay, resolution 2023-117-10, renewing shared services agreement with West Hampton Township for the construction code enforcement services. Basically, we do share our building inspectors, our construction officials with them, and we've had for years, and it's a big cost savings to our town. So can I get a motion?
So
Motion.
moved.
Second.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mayor Klaus.
Yes. Resolution 2023-118-10, authorizing execution of a deed for property at 2813 Lake Avenue, also known as Block 60, Lot 6 in Township of Hainesport.
Finally.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mayor Klaus.
Yes. All right, resolution 2023-119-10, authorizing issuance of raffle licenses to the Ladies Fire Auxiliary. Did you have a comment?
Yes, I'd also like to make a motion to waive the $100 municipal fee.
That would be a separate resolution, or would that be the?
No, it's part of the same motion.
Okay, perfect. I love it. Okay. Okay, so
I'll
who
make
wants?
a motion with that.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mayor Klaus.
Yes. Okay. We got a business, approval of business license.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mayor Klaus.
Yes, and I just want to add a couple of discussion items in here. I'd like to direct, I don't know why anybody thinks, to get an application process for people that want to be on our planning boards, our economic boards, and I'd like to direct our administrator to develop an application. I don't know how you guys feel about it, and it will be kept on hand for 2 or 3 years, and it's better than just picking somebody walking in. We give them a place to attach their resume, and, we could actually have a record of who's applied, who we choose. So we're looking at an application for our boards and committees.
I think this is an excellent idea and high time.
Do we need to make a motion to?
No, we're just directing her to do
No,
it.
no, I think a motion would be.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, so who
So
wants to make the motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mayor Klaus.
Yes, and I just wanted to discuss, we've talked about training, ethics training, and, I don't know what you guys think about doing it soon, but I'd like to have John work with Paula about setting up ethics training for committee members.
Sure. Yeah, I had talked about that a couple meetings ago, yeah.
Yep, sure.
May have gotten sidetracked.
That, we don't need anything more. than-
Circulate some dates.
What's that?
We'll circulate some dates.
Good, perfect, all right, great. Okay, so now we're going to go with comments from the public on anything you'd like. Come up, your name, address, and it's a 5-minute limit. Anybody interested?
Before we start, I just want to let you know, there are 3 people online when you're ready.
Okay,
There
good.
are.
Okay. Yes, Kitty, you want to come up? Yes, it is.
I was wondering if I could find out when they might fix the holes on Bischoff Avenue. Thank you so much. Paula?
This is the first I'm learning, but I will definitely let Public Works know.
Well, last year you told me that I wasn't on the list, so I thought sure we'd get fixed this year, but we never did.
I'm sorry, you meant repaving the road itself or fixing potholes?
Right.
Which one?
Nothing was ever done there.
No, I'm seeking clarification. Do you mean doing repaving of the whole road or fixing potholes?
Fix the holes.
Okay.
The whole road probably needs it. I mean, I've been there 69 years, and I think it's been done twice.
Yeah. Right now, we're on the 2022, 2023 round of DOT funding, which is
I
for,
could just do something. So
Sure.
Blah, 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 every time we get out the
Okay.
street. It's from the salt.
we can definitely send our guys out to do patching. As far as the whole reconstruction project, that's not on, that's what I meant by it not being on the list, but I'll send the guys out for that.
Thank you. The door out front, it's actually working. 2 months ago, you told me that it was working, and I kept telling you it wasn't, and you kept saying it was, and it hadn't been working for years. And finally, you went out and checked it and found out it wasn't working, and I do appreciate the fact that you did finally get it fixed. Then my next item is the box that I used to have here for veterans, that you didn't like the looks of it, so it was taken out of the foyer, and then I've never seen it again. You told me you were painting the foyer, that's why it wasn't there. And then you told me you just weren't putting it out there anymore, and if anything came for the veterans, you would make sure I got it. Well, I can't imagine any individual with a brain in their head bringing stuff for the veterans without something to put it in. So that stopped that for me. But also, you weren't happy with my box. And when I look at these two boxes out here for the plastic, God knows we need that. We got to get that plastic. But you would put them out there and not put the nice box that Bruce McLaughlin made for me because you weren't happy with the first one I had. So I just have to get my little items out. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience? Yes, come on up.
Mark Murdy, 2614 Creek Road, Hainesport, New Jersey. I came in when you were discussing the housing thing. I have no idea who voted for it in the first place, except the state voted that we need to do this. So when they get done doing this, and it creates all this burden for our township, what do we do the next time they say you have to have more affordable housing? You need more, you need more, you need more. And I'm just curious, when does it stop? I know it's known as the Mount Laurel project, and you can see how wonderful Mount Laurel's looking with all this crap they're putting up everywhere. And I'm sure their schools are going to start doubling and tripling, and their taxes are going to skyrocket. And I know if we put people in here, our schools are pretty close to where they need to be, so our taxes are going to go up too, plus everything else. We've discussed this, plus also the Creek Road. What happens if they decide not to make this investment like you were talking about earlier because it doesn't have a good refund on it? And just out of curiosity for myself, the young people getting out of college that want to move here and get affordable housing, what did the units start at? $550 a month? Sign me up, Coach. There's nothing that runs for $550 a month around here. So anyway, if that works out well, it works out well. So I'm just, everything's already been brought up before. Tripling or quadrupling the traffic on that road, I live there, I know. And it's just, it's not going to be worth it. The water pressure I have now isn't where it needs to be. Add another 72 units, I'm sure it's going to escalate and get up where it needs to be. So, one unhappy person, not happy with what the state does, but that's the way it goes. Thank you for your
Yeah.
time.
Thank you, Mark.
Can I make a comment on that?
No,
Okay,
no, we're going to comment at the end.
you got it.
Okay. All right, yes, come on up.
Janice Ludden, 14 Heather Lane. And I just would like to thank Bruce Levinson for his leadership in getting the rain garden.
Thank you,
Making the
Janice.
connections that he needed to make to get that all put in under Rutgers labor and PPA and all. And he ran with it, and it looks beautiful. And
Thank you.
And we just got to get the maintenance plan. But thank you, Bruce, for doing that.
Thank you, Janice.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you did.
Okay, anybody in the present audience, come on up.
Hi, I'm Eileen Dixie, 120 Mason Woods Lane. I just wanted to see with the property on Creek Road, have you guys discussed having it empty out onto Martin Highway instead of Creek Road? I feel like Creek Road's gotten busier. It's a commuter road, and I think having another 150 cars coming onto that road is going to make it even worse. We're going to need traffic lights. So is there any way, like, we could reroute it to go out onto Marne Highway, since it's right there by the industrial park?
Well, we don't own the property, but we'll have to talk to
Yeah.
the professionals.
I know that was
Joint
discussed
legislature?
a lot when we talked about that, and I don't think there would be 150, but certainly a concern. We talked about that in past meetings, so I know that was part of the plan, to investigate that.
Yeah, has anybody talked to the industrial park owner to see if they would be willing to
Let Paul address
loan
that.
us, let that happen? Figure he'd have nothing to lose on doing that.
So, first of all, the decision is made also with Burlington County, because it's Marne Highway is a county road. We absolutely have had discussions with the owner of the industrial park. It is not feasible because there are existing septic and well systems along that area that would disallow us from building any kind of infrastructure over it. So yes, we did respond. We did have that discussion with them.
Okay.
There are ongoing discussions with the county, but again, that is at the planning stage, and we're not quite there yet.
Okay, well,
That's what the
hopefully,
board-
I think that would make a tremendous difference. I mean, if we're not going to, we're still going to have, and it's not just two-story houses, there's one-story houses that these are going to be towering over. But, I think if we could have it reroute so it's not coming out onto Creek Road, it would be a huge improvement.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience? Okay, with that, I'm going to close, okay, I'm going to let Bruce, hold on, give Pat a chance, she was first. Come on, Pat, you had your hand up first.
Pat Mackin, 116 Mason Woods Lane. Just a quick question. I thought Tristan Silk offered to give the road to the township to come out from the 72-unit development. So what happened with that?
I'm not aware of it, we'll have to,
That was part of the discussions for the township to assume ownership of that road should the town have access through his property to reroute it onto Marne Highway. After investigation and looking into it and looking at all of his surveys, it's not feasible because there are septic systems and well systems that would disallow infrastructure to be built over it.
aren't there
So
two railroad crossings?
that possibility or that negotiation is moot.
And there's two railroad crossings, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so my question is there a copy of everything you just said about the map with the sewer and the septic and all that bit that we can view? Or do
I don't know if that was given to me. You can always talk to Tristan Silk and ask to review it, because that's private.
Yeah, but you had a meeting with him, so
I did, but
should
that
be
doesn't mean,
record?
well, I don't know if I actually have a record of it. I don't know if he actually gave me a map or if he reviewed it with me, but you can certainly put it in an OPRA, and if we have it, I absolutely will provide that to you.
Okay, so who was in on that meeting besides you and Tristan?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
This was 2 years ago.
You're
No, I don't.
younger than me.
Not that younger, but thank
put
you
it-
so much. I appreciate that, though.
Okay, thank you. Want to take Bruce?
Bruce McLaughlin, 33 Easton Way. I'm glad I'm not on the committee tonight, but you guys are really wrestling with a rough issue, and I commend you. I'd like to remind the audience that Hainesport was fully compliant in all the rounds of COA. COA is not something we invented as a committee or as a township. It's been thrust on us. Used to be an obligation, now it's an opportunity to build affordable housing. Now, I was going to ask a question, because I understand, and I try not to politicize the committee, but I'm a little shocked that, how it's coming down the vote. Isn't the details of this issue going to be decided at the planning board as far as approvals are concerned?
Yeah, there's still site planning that has to go forward with regard to the Creek Road facility.
So it has to come to the planning board for design details.
Yeah, this creates the opportunity for it, but it still has to go through all the land use process.
Right. So I think a lot of the details should and will be worked out at the planning board. But thank you, guys. Good job.
Thank you. All right, any more, come on up.
Kim Rivera, 127 Masons Woods. When we first started coming to this committee about this discussion and this project, and again, I am completely on board with affordable housing, we were told by the Walters Group and the committee that the people that live in Masons Woods and anyone else off of Creek Road was going to be able to receive some sort of plan of how the traffic was going to be handled, how, the additional water and sewer, how mass transportation or public transportation that's supposed to be provided as a part of affordable housing was all going to be managed, wasn't just going to be dumped out onto Creek Road. And like Eileen said, the traffic is significantly more than it ever has been before. And if we're going to have all these additional people living in these communities, you are going to have issues. We're going to have significantly more accidents that we had. People get stuck under the trestle all the time. So we need to see that this information that they were supposedly going to supply to us for us to understand and us feel comfortable that this was being handled was going to be provided. We've never seen it.
Is there a way we can find out? I think it's available to them as it comes forth, right?
To go back to Mr. McLaughlin's comment, this
The joint
sets the
needs
table
were-
for it. They still have to go through all the site planning processes, which is when traffic studies get done, which is when ingress and egress points are identified on the site. None of that's been done yet. It is a piece of land that volumetrically accommodates the type of facility that is sought to be built there and that assists the township in meeting its obligations. As to how it ends up, laying out specifically and where those ingress and egress points will be and what the traffic counts will be, that's all part of the site planning process. And that, my guess is you'll probably see that, I don't know, probably not this year, but sometime next year.
Right.
And the public will be, those documents will be on file.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know I personally have emailed Paul about it. I know there's other people in our community that have. There hasn't been any discussions about when those conversations and when those plans are going to be up. So, we would like to be held abreast of the situation. There's a lot of ramifications. We have a very small fire department. We can't even manage some of our own issues within our township as far as fires. My friend's house burnt down like 2 years ago, and I had to come from another town to deal with that. So we're very concerned about the additional additional families, and again, all for affordable housing, just concerned about the impact of what's going to happen to the community.
But let me clarify, John, we won't be sending them the information. They'll have to come here and watch the planning board meetings, and I'm
Within
sure.
200 feet, they'll get the notice, and if
Yeah.
anybody's within 200 feet, I'm sure that everyone will know. It's effectively a zoning proposition, right? So all the zoning ordinance does is set the table for future development. Whoever the developer is still needs to come in and get all the necessary approvals, the site plan applications, public notice, and all that stuff, so, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else one more time? Okay, we're going to take one more the second time, Mark, and that's it. And then we got to check online, okay?
Mark Murdy, 2614 Creek Road. This is really quick. We're talking about all these things that need to go through the planning and processing. What if that fails? Because I know it used to be wetlands there, so we changed that in order to accommodate them. So what if that fails?
Well,
do they still keep all the money they used to do all the training and everything else and do all their planning, and then we wait for the next people to come in and do the same thing over again?
I'm not sure I understand the question, but are there wetlands on the site that would preclude this development? Is that your question?
Yes, sir, there used to be.
There still are.
There still are.
And they still are, okay. So then my next one is, you said everything's got to go through state planning and with the county and everything else, the roads?
Not state planning, township, the planning board.
Okay.
Joint land use board.
And the counting board too, right, with the county?
Because it's on the county highway, yeah.
Okay, so what happens if that fails? So I guess I'm asking, as a constituent of this community, if we go to the planning board and say, hey, this isn't really a fun thing?
Okay, so I'm correct that it does not go to the county planning board because it's not a county road.
The traffic
Traffic.
issue will go before the county. We
Okay.
will have a conversation about the traffic concerns, but the development itself, Creek Road is a township-owned road.
Okay, so when do we get to put some more input into all this stuff that we don't like?
When they come in for site plan approval and review, and all those reports will have to be on file at that point.
Okay, and we don't know when that's going to happen, correct?
I'm going to guess sometime early next year, I don't know.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Thanks. Okay, we're going to close it out here, because I already said we're going to close it out. Sorry, guys, we're going to check on, I said Mark was the last one. Anybody online?
If there's anybody online that would like to give a public comment?
Comment, right? Or can I take more?
No, you,
You
Okay, all right.
said it was good. Just-
Okay, let's take somebody else. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Scott Cooper, 44 Patriot Way. I'm actually reading this on behalf of Bob Mode, who's running for council. He got detained at work tonight. He was trying desperately to get here in time for the meeting. He's not going to make it, so I'd like to read his statement on his behalf. With this evening being the last township meeting, this is Bob speaking, so when I say I, this is Bob. With this evening being the last township meeting before the election, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the residents for their support, especially over the last 2 weeks. Meeting new people and listening to their hopes and dreams for our town has been a truly rewarding experience. The warmth, friendship, and sincerity they have shown has made this time something I will always treasure, regardless of the outcome. It's my privilege to announce that our campaign has been endorsed by the New Jersey League of Conservation Voters, a statewide political voice for the environment. They work to elect environmentally responsible candidates to state and local offices. We have also been endorsed by the New Jersey Young Democrats. I look forward to working with the young people who are the future of our town and our state. I would like to extend an invitation to our next meet and greet this Saturday, October 7th, at 10 a.m. here at the Municipal Complex at the Gazebo. Bring your questions, suggestions, and yes, your gripes. We want to hear from you. There will be 3 more after this one. Please see our Facebook page for more info, Harris and modefortownship.com. I would like to thank I would like to thank the Hainesport Democrats for their support, including Pat Dones, Jolene Yankowski, Gail Chant, Scott Cooper, Kathy Parker, and many others. Our campaign manager, Steve Hillman, and our treasurer, Mike Lontock. Couldn't do it without you guys. Special mention goes to Anna Evans. She has shown us the way to how Hainesport can be a completely inclusive town with elected officials who listen to all the residents. Finally, I would especially like to thank my wonderful running mate, Deborah Harris. I could not have asked for a more knowledgeable and caring partner. She is caring and empathetic, but she also is tireless, courageous, and fearless. I can think of no one else more qualified to serve on the Hainesport Township Committee. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. I'm going to take 2 more. The guy in the green shirt, did you still want to speak? Yeah. It's going to close it out, all right? I've asked several times. Yep, you're going to be the last person.
what do you say?
Anselmo Rivera, 127 Mason Woods Lane. This development with 72 houses that we keep coming up here, and it just seems that it keeps going and going and going. I'm trying to figure out how this is still a thing, how we're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole when it comes to really fitting 72 houses in a really tight space. You can see the community comes up here time and again, and we have conversations afterwards. We don't feel that we're getting anywhere with this. We need actually some action. We need to have some kind of capacity to put a halt to this, because we do not want it. We can't make that any more clear to you guys. We just do not want it, and that's not a thing of what we want, but what we need in the community to be safe, to have the resources that were promised to us or that we came into Hainesport to have, but we just continue to go down this path where this is just going to roll over everything and happen. So what can we do to stop this? What can we do? Should we go get an attorney right now, a big attorney, a firm? What can we do to stop this now?
I can't answer your question.
Because you don't want to, or because you're legally bound not to answer my question?
I'm not legally bound to do nothing. I mean,
All right.
I'm not.
So you're a mayor. Step up. Here's a bunch of voters, and believe me, there's a lot more, and we're counting on you to put a stop to this nonsense.
Well, this is public comment, and you have a right to a comment, and I appreciate your comment, and I am trying to let everybody speak. And
Okay.
I'm giving you the opportunity to speak right now.
Okay, so I
And
spoke-
we speak at the end in our comments, and that's what I'll be doing.
Okay. So will you answer my question? What can we do to stop this? Can anyone answer that question for me?
John, is there anything that we can do that won't
I'm happy to
create-
address it at the end of public comment. I'm going to solicit.
Yeah, we're going to address it
Okay,
at the
very
end.
good.
Yes. All right, thank you. Okay, the last one.
I
Yeah.
got several people to.
Sorry, I recalled.
Last one?
Last one.
Last one? Karen Torty, 4 Easton Way. When I was asked again to serve our Hainesport by running for election this year, I was humbled and honored, but also cautious to say yes, as I wanted to make sure I was the best candidate to represent our town. After some convincing, I accepted the request, as I have always been willing to serve God, church, family, and community in any way possible. From the beginning, it has been my goal to serve the residents of our beloved town by meeting people face to face to discuss issues important to them. I have been all over town in many different types of places and venues, and it has been my sincere joy to meet so many wonderful people and to make friendships I will always treasure, no matter the outcome of the election. And I look forward to meeting more residents as I continue to knock on doors and at our upcoming events. What I have found is that most people love Hainesport exactly as it is. Small town feel, low taxes, great parks, good services, good schools, and great township employees and committee members. Most people do not want more warehouses, but there are others who see the value of them. The chicken question has gone silent for now, and I suppose most HOAs will have a final decision in the neighborhoods where they are located. We already have an economic development committee, and our master plan has been completed, updated last year. Ken and I will always support local businesses and continue to focus on bringing more businesses to Route 38. Some residents have expressed individual issues regarding their specific properties, and I have made note of these and promised to do whatever I can to help if I am elected. We have great schools, safe neighborhoods, and some of the nicest parks in Burlington County. It is my position to focus on upgrading some of the older parks that may need our attention and to address all safety issues. It is important to support our firemen and EMTs. I have listened and have heard your request as to how we can better support you financially with upgraded equipment such as your turnout gear, and even the need for more demolished vehicles to practice your rescues, as well as other items. And to the wonderful residents of the Glen, many of you have expressed the same concern over and over again about keeping your neighborhood safe and secure. Many of you are our veterans and those who have served us in the medical and teaching fields and other service careers. You are some of the best volunteers Hainesport has as you continue to give of your time and knowledge, and not only to Hainesport, but to our surrounding communities as well. Living in a retirement setting, you have earned the right to feel safe and secure in your neighborhood. Not only do we need to support you in this, but we owe it to you. And it is our obligation to do whatever we can to make you feel safe, secure, and at peace. I have heard your voices loudly and clearly, and you have my total support. I will do everything I can to stand behind you and support you. Because we have had common sense, level-headed governance from our current and past committees who have had an eye on the future, we are in the best position to help with all of these issues, as well as issues that may arise in the future. Ken and I are ready to continue with this, with our leadership. Ken and I will continue our meet and greets on Thursday evenings, and we'll let you know when we are out and about in your neighborhoods. Everyone is invited to the Ark Road Brewery on Tuesday, October 24th for our next club meeting, and we hope to see many of you there. We will also be at the Fall Festival on October 14th. So in a conclusion, I'd just like to say thank you for giving me this wonderful opportunity to serve Hainesport, and I truly appreciate all the support I have received from all over town. Regardless of whether or not I take office in January, I will always be ready and willing to help Hainesport in any way requested of me. I'm always ready to serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we're going to close public comment. I did state that, I requested hands coming up, and there's, and I picked the last two. So with that, public comment is closed. All right.
Administrator?
Huh? We're going to get comments from the administrator.
Sure. So I did a site visit last week with our LSRP at Paul's Tank Farm. We met with the geologist that is conducting the site investigation field work, soil sampling, and learned the process. Quite interesting. But thank goodness I don't have to dig in dirt and test soils. But they finished that up on Thursday. Hopefully, there will be no new contaminated areas of concern at the site. Once this is done, we will develop a remedial investigation scope and be able to apply to DEP for funding for that phase. I encourage everyone to like our municipal Facebook page, Hainesport Township Government Organization. We're posting meaningful, current information on a regular basis. Our last post includes the 4th edition of the bi-monthly e-newsletter assembled by volunteer resident Elizabeth Gallagher, and includes articles from RV and Hainesport schools, staff, and students, Janice Ludden on environmental issues or concerns or information, or community cats, just to name a few. So please encourage people to jump on that site. Hopefully we're going to open up our Instagram page. That should be forthcoming soon. We are currently having a contract, or under contract right now, to build a masonry wall over at the playground between the tennis courts and the play area. We had some stormwater issues, so that wall is being built by a local contractor, and hopefully it'll provide some additional seating space and play area for the kids, and it'll be very aesthetically pleasing, matching the pavilion and the walkway and our tax drop box out front, and the sign out front as well. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. How about comments from our solicitor?
I really don't have any, but except to answer the question that you asked me to address. So the question was, what can we do to stop this? And the comment was, it's like putting a square peg in a round hole. Well, the committee obviously doesn't want to stop it, because this has been a 6-year journey to get to a point where finding a means by which to address your constitutional obligation to provide affordable housing has taken different turns. And again, I'll reiterate, this is a 72-unit facility that yields 122 credits, more than half of your obligation. So what can you do to stop it? I take it as rhetorical, because why would you? It provides for that opportunity. It also needs to be reminded, I think, that this particular site has been discussed for 4 or 5 years. I mean, the zoning for this was done, I think, in 2019 to provide for that. There have been discussions all along about that. As to putting a square peg in a round hole, you don't know that until you see the layout on the site. To go to Ms. O'Mara's comment about, and to Mark's comment about, are there wetlands out there and there might impede the ability to develop it, that's all for the site planning process. I mean, that's all going to be part of a continuing public process about, can it fit our 72 units? The way it's laid out, like any other zoning ordinance, there is an expectation that, yes, it will. We wouldn't have gone this far. The committee would not have unanimously approved this plan this year unless there was a realistic opportunity that these units would be achievable. So the next step is the site planning process. It is, again, a public process, just as this has been all along. There have been resolutions adopted at public meetings. There have been ordinances adopted at public meetings on public hearings. It will continue to develop, and I say that in both the mechanical sense and in the construction sense. But before any construction begins, there will be public hearings on the site plan application. And that plan that will be submitted to the Joint Land Use Board will show whether or not you're putting a square peg in a round hole, or whether or not that site can achieve a 72-unit facility development. That all lies ahead. But, you know, I know what time of year it is. I'm not naive. So I suspect that there will be rhetoric out there that this was done behind closed doors. This was not done behind closed doors. In fact, not only were the ordinances adopted on public hearings, not only were the resolutions adopted at public meetings on agendas that are published 4 days before the 5 days, 4 or 5 days before the meeting takes place. The hearing in front of the court was on notice, published in the newspaper, mailed to people, and held in a virtual setting with the court. There was testimony presented, and the court determined that indeed this plan, unanimously adopted by this township committee, provides a realistic opportunity for this municipality to satisfy its constitutional obligation. So it will continue to develop, and when the Waters Group is ready to proceed with site plan application, it will file it, and the site plan process will be public, and that will be followed in accordance with the statute.
Thank you. Paula, did you have anything else?
Yeah, I just also wanted to remind everybody that the Walters Group, along with the township, had a very extensive informational session on March 21st, which everyone in the community on Creek Road, everyone along Creek Road was invited to, and it was actually very well attended. This room was filled. And there were, I reported out, over 16 questions posed by the members of the community, and was answered by Mr. Del Duca. I believe, Mr., you were there. Were you at that meeting as well? Somebody else was there. There was another gentleman from Walters Group, but I can say that the community was very appreciative of that informational session. All of their questions were answered. And of course, if that is something that is requested in the future in a more intimate setting, we can work that out in addition to the land use board process, which is next. But, you know, we have been responsive to the community. We have been communicating with the community. I don't know other towns that have had those types of informational sessions, but I can say Hainesport did.
Well, thank you. Okay, let's go comments from the committee. Anna, we'll start with you.
Right, yeah, I want to start by saying something about my vote earlier on today. I did vote for the affordable housing plan that was approved by the court, but plans change. Plans, by definition, are not set in stone. And actually, this particular plan, there are 3 occasions tonight when that change or potential for change has been referenced. One is the fact that we actually were voting on a resolution to change our financial agreement with the Walters Group. That was one of the things I voted no on. Right? So that is a change to the plan. Mark Murdy brought up that there might be a problem with the waterlogging on the site, and that might cause a change to the plan. Solicitor Gillespie literally just said the Joint Land Use Board will decide if we can fit 72 units on this site, and that might alter the plan. So my point is, because plans change, opinions can change, and we need to, I can't believe that the builder's remedy site suits are going to suddenly start flying just because the Joint Land Use Board says, oh, we can only include 70 units. So, you know, I think it's justified to accept change to plans, and therefore it's also justified to accept change to votes. In other news, I wanted to mention that I attended a taxation seminar this morning, which was very eye-opening, and it showed me just how much work our great finance department does. So I want to thank the 2 Dawns and the 2 Paulas for all their hard work in the taxation department. I'd like to welcome John Wynn, who is our new employee in Public Works, and we've also been interviewing for the final vacancy, and hopefully Public Works will soon be up to full strength for leaf season. I'd like to thank everyone here for coming. We do listen to you, and I hope I'll see you either at the Trunk and Treat or the Fall Festival. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Bruce?
Okay, so with regard to the Hainesport Community Chronicle, I just wanted to say thank you to Janice Sledden for contributing to that chronicle with regard to her article and the rain garden. Jennifer how do I say her name?
Cartsourth.
What's that?
Katsoris.
Katoris, okay.
Katsoris.
It's a tough name. I want to thank her for her contribution, Alex Fisher, Vicki Bursch, and Donna Casey. This is a very nice publication that comes out to us via email, and I recommend we all sign up for it so we can see what's going on in our town. Again, that's the Hainesport Community Chronicle. The other thing, with regard to the rain garden, I want to thank Holly DeMuro, Christopher Perez from the Rutgers Cooperative Extension, who helped us install the rain garden. Also, Steve Elliott from the Pinelands Preservation Alliance. I had the pleasure of working with all of them to make the rain garden a reality. And again, thank you, Janice Ludden, for dedicating your camera. Curious to see what's on it. Regarding this committee, the decisions that we have to make are often extremely painful. We're not always presented with the best options, and we often have to select the least of bad options. I have to tell you that some of the decisions that we make, and I hope I speak for everybody here, they are truly painful. They impact our residents and our neighbors, and it's very hard for us. So an apology from me for whatever comes our way and happens to impact our residents. So on another note, I know that past actions are the best predictors of one's future actions. So it is easy for me to say that seats in local government should come from the individuals who over the decades demonstrate a consistent interest without an expectation of reward in the well-being of their community, and that we must judge people for these seats not by party, but as individuals. Do they have a record of doing or a record of critique? In the words of Teddy Roosevelt, it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. My addition to that is, it is easy to be a critic, but being a doer requires effort, risk, and the task of making adult decisions from often bad choices. I believe that in the end it is the selfless substance that matters in the people who govern. And if you look where these four candidates have been, you will know where they are going. Hainesport, please choose wisely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. Leila?
Yes, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out this evening. I also want to thank Donna Casey and Liz DiBenedetto for the fantastic event, the adult dinner dance that they put on this past month. I know we all had a great time. It was well done. And it's a shame for those who couldn't make it. Due to the grant that we had received with regards to the mayor's wellness campaign, several residents were able to take part in the free adult Zumba classes given at Dancercise. And we also sponsored 10 children with the Healthy Kids Running Group. They'll be taking off, I believe their first race is this Saturday. I'd like everybody to please remember to download the Hainesport Township app and to like and follow the Township's Facebook page. It's full of information with regards to the Township and events coming up. I also want to invite the committee to please attend on the 14th. We're going to be helping the children paint pumpkins along with the state police. So it should be a fun event that's going on at the same time as several other events are going on with the Scarecrow contest and all. Flu shots are going to be available at the Street Center on the 19th, and also COVID. So if they check, there's a a form in the hallway to fill out, to click on the code and do all that kind of good stuff to sign up. We're also going to be having an event on the 28th to thank our first responders. It includes the fire, the EMTs, and the police department.
I think that's the 27th. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
What was the date on that, Leila, again, sorry?
20,
It's the 27th.
20,
yeah, its actual First Responders Day is the 28th, that's why I got confused.
so,
And on November 10th this year, not the actual Veterans Day, we'll be having a luncheon for the Hainesport veterans. So there too is a sign-up sheet. It's for veterans, it's free. If they wish to bring a guest, it's a $10 fee. And also, Tish asked me to remind everybody about the senior citizens have a meeting on the second and fourth Thursday of every month at noon time. They meet at the Street Center on Broad Street.
Great, thank you. Okay, Deputy Mayor
okay.
Ken Montgomery.
Thank you. We'd like to thank Donna Casey again and the Recreation Committee for putting on a great riverboat dance. It was a lot of fun, part of our 100th anniversary celebration. Jerry and I dressed up, and Leila dressed up, and Bruce dressed up in some old-time garb of the 20s. It was very interesting, as well as
They
a
were
few
just
other
as old
people.
clothes.
Yeah, just old clothes. But it was a lot of fun, had a band there, food, and everyone had a good time. So once again, thank you, Donna Casey and the Recreation Committee, and great work there. Also, I had down just to talk about the pumpkin painting on the 14th, the trunk or treat that's coming up, First Responders Day, and along with the Veterans Day luncheon that we've had for a number of years. Just happy to help out those disabled veterans as we approved earlier in the meeting. Can't do enough to support our veterans who fought so bravely for our country and the rights that we have today. So never want to forget that. Great work on the tank farm, keeping up with that. That has just been so long, I think since I moved here 26 years ago. I think that's been working there. Nice to see the playground work is continuing. 3 years ago, when I was first asked to run for this with Bruce, I said I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to be a politician, and I was told it's not politics, it's Hainesport. And so one of the things that I wanted to do was to continue to work in improving the playgrounds, so I'm happy to see that we continue to work on that with that wall. Let's see. As an old Boy Scout, would like to thank Bruce for spearheading the Rain Garden, and Janice Ludden. Nice to see you here, Janice. Really super. And I had planned to be there, and unfortunately I had a medical emergency in my family, and I could not be. I was all set to wear my orange shirt and get out there early in the morning and help with that. So I'm glad that came about. Also, one more thing. It's been in the news. We hear of how throughout the country, and especially, and also in the state of New Jersey, about how forced curriculum has been placed on schools, and the parents, many parents are up in arms and taking away some parents' rights, where you have to fill out a permission slip in order to give an aspirin to a student, but yet other things can be done without parents' knowledge. Our state government has also stripped schools of much-needed funding, including here in Hainesport. I'm proud of what this committee has done with money that we had gained from various projects, and trying to improve the resources for the students, and not only the students, but the residents by that gymnasium. It's not just kids taking gym class. There are many organizations that use that gym floor, many clubs, many sports, etc. Adults, not just children, that use it outside of the school. And I'm also very proud of what the Hainesport Education Foundation has done over the years for the students. Purchase such as security system, Chromebooks, smart boards, the wireless scoreboard in the gym, a number of response clickers, electronic response clickers for students, a mobile computer lab. I have to write this down because there's a lot here. iPads and charging technology that go along with it for the students. Compound microscopes for the students, for the school district, and have awarded scholarships to boys and girls at graduation. With all these wonderful additions, we've never had any complaints about how the entity was operated until most recently by one individual. I'd like to thank Bruce for also pointing out that it is really easy to be a critic when people are doing things, really easy. What's difficult is doing. I've been in this town for 26 years and have served the school, have served the community, along with my running mate, Karen Torty, for 26 years before ever being asked to come up here and do this. I did it because to help my children, to help the neighbors, to help the town, and then it's come to this. So I'm proud of our town and what we've done. Thank you.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank you all for coming, and I appreciate all your comments. I want to thank Kevin Dowd from the Walters Group for coming and answering our questions. I really appreciate it. I think he clarified a lot for us. I appreciate you coming. Second of all, I would like to just talk about the steamboat dance. That was fun. I'm going to tell you, it was a blast. I think there was 4 of us here. It was so much fun. And I even know that your running mate, Karen, couldn't come because you were getting a grandchild, right? Congratulations.
Congratulations.
That's excellent. So, and so I really enjoyed that. I do have...
And your wife dressed up. She was also...
She won the big prize.
Did she? Oh, yeah, she won it,
Great.
yes.
So it was nice. She loved it. So I do want to talk a little bit about the comments, and I did say I'd be answering some comments. I think this person's... Scott, speaking for Bob Mode, about listening to all the residents, I want to let you know, we try to listen to all the residents. Multiple times, I closed public comment when there were no hands, and I reopened it. So, you know, you are listened to. I mean, everybody knows you can call me, and sometimes people call me and give me an earful. I mean, my phone number is right out there. So I hope to think that everybody on this board listens to all the residents, whether we agree with them or not. That's our job. And sometimes it's not partisan, it's just sometimes your idea is good, and if it's on the other side of the aisle and their idea is good, I go with it. I'd like to think that I'm known for doing that. So I just want to clarify that we do listen to the residents. And I want to tell you, as mayor, I don't have the power to go against the state of New Jersey's requirements. I mean, I wish I did, but I think Governor Murphy would be a little upset if I did that. So I just want to let you know, I would do everything for you. And with that, I'm going to talk about, I moved into my house in 1986. I still live there. And
When was this? When?
1986.
86?
Yes. So
Wow.
every development impacted me. Where I live, 2 houses from the Creek Road, Hainesport, Mount Laurel intersection, when they built the Chase, that impacted me. I didn't want it, but I knew Roy Eckert had a right to sell their farm. When they built Sage Run, I didn't want it because all the traffic still has to come past my house. And when they built Mason's Woods, all the concerns I've heard about this development, I heard then. I heard about the railroad bridge, the traffic. All those items were brought up when Mason Woods was being proposed to be built. So I didn't want it, but, you know, and I was impacted a lot by that traffic at that intersection. Phenomenal. The accidents that were there until they straightened it out and made it a 4-way stop. I can't get out of my driveway some mornings. So I don't want you to think that I don't see the impact. It impacts me too. I'm very close to that development. I also will tell you that everything that's going on with the railroad bridge and all that traffic, I walk down that street. Most of the traffic is pass-through traffic, and it goes from Creek Road, or I'll say Rancocas Woods, straight through, and majority of that traffic is not residents that come through there. Now, do you have to maneuver around that railroad bridge? Yeah, but they talked about closing that when they were building Mason's Woods. That was an impact problem, and so much so that when my kids were learning to drive, they're now 29 and 30, I told them, never go that way. I said, take the long way. It's not worth the problem, okay? Do I think it's a problem? Sure, it's a problem. But the people in Mason's Woods and everybody that lives on Creek Road right now, they're able to manipulate that and work around it. And I have full confidence that anybody moving into this project will be able to manipulate that and move around it. And if the county and the board doesn't think so, they're going to make some changes. So I just wanted to let you know that I'm very aware of what's proposed and how it's going to impact all of us. And I've been impacted for many years by developments. I never tried to stop them because I don't have a right. I don't own the property. People have a right to develop their property. Unfortunately, they all don't fit as good. Like, there's times I can't get out of my driveway. Ever since they made Creek Road a four-way stop, it's a steady spacing that I just can't get out, you know? So it's just like, here comes one. No, can't make that one, can't make that one. And sometimes it's 12 cars in a row that are spaced where I can't get out of my driveway. So I don't want you to think we don't consider everyone on our decisions we make, and they're all not easy decisions. But unfortunately, in this position, we have to do things that aren't easy, and we gotta just take it. So I want to thank you all for understanding, and I want to thank you all for coming. We do have to pay some bills, and then we'll be going into executive session, and there may be action after that session. Am I correct, John? No?
I don't think so.
Okay, there probably won't. Okay, so with that,
I'd like to make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
yes. Okay, with that, we're going to go into executive session. Are we having it here?
We'll go in the back room.
Okay.
Make a motion to close?
No, we will have it here because we have a whole group coming. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So the
give me a
motion would be
motion.
to adopt Resolution 2023-120-10.
Okay, can I have a motion to adopt the resolution
So
2023? Okay.
Second?
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Montgomery?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Evans?
Yes.
Mayor Powell?
Yes.
We make a motion to close,
I second that.
and then no, we're okay with that?
We're going into close.
Oh, we're going into,
Make a motion to go into close? Yes.
Oh, you did, the resolution does that, yeah.
oh, that was the,
That was the motion.
Can I run to my car real quick?
I'm going to shut we're going to, am I shutting this?
No, you can,
Keep it on? Wait, we have to, we don't want this on, right?
you can shut it off. It's off, but you can shut it off.